Hey everybody, welcome back to Marvel Rewind with George Efta. I'm George Efta. Sorry about the late upload, although technically it is still Wednesday, so I'm good. And sorry about the different set and the lighting change. I got home from work and needed to record this, and roommates are doing stuff, so instead of doing it in the living room, I'm doing it in my bedroom. This is my bedroom. Today, of course, we are talking about Doctor Strange, which is not in focus at all. Come on, focus on the thing. There we go. Doctor Strange. This is a really fun movie, for sure. It's a blast, it's well made, it's well acted, it's really good action, really fascinating visuals. It's also exceptionally fucking derivative. This may be the least original Marvel flick of the bunch, aside from maybe Ant-Man. This is basically the story of Iron Man, except magic, and if Iron Man was instead Dr. House at the beginning, and also it's like Inception, and it's kind of like The Matrix a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's really fun, but it is, like, every cool idea in this movie basically has been done in another movie before, and it's all strung together wonderfully. The cast is one of the best in the whole franchise, for me. Benedict Cumberbatch, Mr. Penguins himself, is fantastic as Doctor Strange. Tilda Swinton is Tilda Swinton, as always, in her role as the Ancient One. The bad guy, Kiefer Sutherland, I'll remember later. Smokey Eyes is played by Mads Mikkelsen, who was also in the first Bond movie with Daniel Craig, Casino Royale. He was in Rogue One, of course, as the guy who invented the Death Star and designed it to have a flaw. And maybe most famously for TV fans, he played Hannibal on the show Hannibal. Caecilius, that's his name. Interesting villain, I guess. He's kind of lame, but I understand his motivation, sort of. The female lead, the romantic lead, I suppose, is Rachel McAdams, who's always great. And finally, we have Chiwetel Ejiofor playing Mordo, who is one of my favorite actors ever. He's been a favorite of mine since I watched Dirty Pretty Things back in the day. He's been in a Woody Allen movie that I really like called Melinda and Melinda. He played the villain in Serenity, the operative. He has an Oscar nomination for Best Lead Actor in 12 Years a Slave, which he should have won for. Brilliant fucking actor. Great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And his journey is the one I'm most emotionally kind of invested in. Doctor Strange is an arrogant dick who loses the ability to use his hands through something that's completely his fault. He was texting and driving, basically. And he got into a fucking car accident, and his hands are fucked. But, like, even when that's over, like, he can still use his hands. He just can't be a surgeon anymore. But he's still, like, a millionaire with a huge house, and Rachel McAdams brings him groceries. Hard to feel sympathy for him. When he gets his powers and learns from the Ancient One, he's still kind of a rebellious dick with no respect for authority, which works out in the nature of this story. But he's not the most sympathetic character. Now, Tony Stark, of course, was also a big arrogant dickhead who got into an accident and changed his life, but his accident was direct, it is his own fault again. He reaped what he sowed. Repped what he sowed? He had to fucking deal with the consequences of his actions in being an arms dealer, but when he got back from the desert, he immediately shuts down the weapons industry, the weapons side of Stark Industries, tries to be a better person. When Doctor Strange loses his hands, he immediately says he could have done the surgery better and saved his hands. He immediately lashes out at everyone he loves. It's all for very selfish reasons. And his arc is it's not about him. That's the big kind of recurring theme. It's not about you. There's so much more out there. And granted, by the end of the movie, his climax with Dormammu is, I will die forever, over and over again, and I will suffer forever. But the people of Earth will, they'll be okay. And that's a very heroic thing, and it's a really great climax that he got to use his intellect to beat this fucking otherworldly, other-dimensional being. But it is kind of too little too late as far as a character arc goes for me. People really like this movie, and I totally get it. It's a solid 8 out of 10, probably. It's a really fun flick, but it's a little bit paint by numbers, and the villain, Caecilius, isn't all that interesting. His whole thing is he wanted to learn from the Ancient One because he lost his family, lost everything, basically. And when he discovered the secret to immortality, she wouldn't let him use it, even though she's been using it. And he's got a good point. And she's a big fucking hypocrite. And they never really resolve that aspect of it. She dies in the movie, spoilers and stuff. But I don't know. It's a little bit it raises a lot of questions, but I don't care. If a movie's kind of poorly written or has plot holes or plot contrivances, but the action's fun and the story moves along and I enjoy the characters, don't really care. The sequence with Caecilius and his minions chasing after Mordo and Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension through New York is fucking spectacular. It's one of the best sequences in any movie, any action movie, especially the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is imaginative, it is cool, it is exhilarating, it is, cosmic, it is hallucinatory, and you never get lost. It's really well shot, really well edited, the visual effects are fantastic. That sequence is fucking the big set piece of the movie, and it works really well. Also, the climax, as I said at the end, where Doctor Strange uses his ability to loop time, is pretty spectacular. And the idea that he probably spent, God knows, like 10,000 years maybe, in human terms, getting killed over and over and over again. It's a really kind of Groundhog Day, dark, fucked up idea that's really interesting. There is the kind of general, it's like when you read Harry Potter 3 with a time turner. He's got a thing that can control time. He can do whatever he wants. So much so that it kind of broke Infinity War for me, which we'll get to, but let's just say he has a sling ring, which lets him travel to anywhere, and he can go to the mirror dimension, which Thanos doesn't know how to access. As far as I know, I mean, he's got the reality gem, so maybe, but he could have taken Vision and his stone and hidden in the mirror dimension the whole movie, among other things that we'll get to Infinity War, and the plot holes that Doctor Strange creates. As far as the Phase 3 of it all, really, really interesting to see a brand new character. Obviously, Ant-Man was pretty lame. I think most people can agree that even if it's fun, it's not grand. Civil War was a huge, big thing, but it's basically an Avengers movie again, and it sets the pieces for all our characters later on. Doctor Strange is a brand new character, and it's a whole new side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, they've talked about, they being like Kevin Feige and the higher-ups at Marvel have talked about wanting to ground the series in reality. So you have Iron Man, very much, this is an Earth terrestrial thing, and it's all about building a suit and yada, yada, yada. Thor took you to the cosmic realms of magic, which is actual technology, and Guardians one-up that even more, different planets. But there's also been the mystic side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and magic being a huge part of it. And Doctor Strange is a wonderful way into that. And the movie works wonderfully as a character introduction and as a world introduction. Like, beyond some name droppings of like, the Avengers protect the world, we, being, the Sanctum Sanctorum people, we protect the spiritual side of it. Beyond that, this doesn't even really need to be a Marvel movie. It's just interesting and fascinating in its own right. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? I love the fact that they introduced a new character. I really, really want a sequel. The villain in this movie is kind of the lamest part of it, but he's not bad. The action sequences are a whole lot of fun. The sequence in Sanctum Sanctorum where the cape comes to life is a lot of fun. That cape has got a lot of character. It's basically the magic carpet from Aladdin, but whatever. Seeing him fly up out of the stairwell with the window behind him, floating in that cape for the first time. It's a great character introduction. I love the running bit of everyone calling Stephen Strange Mr. Strange and getting his name wrong, and he's like Doctor Strange. And finally, his emotional moment isn't telling the villain, I'm Doctor Strange, actually. The big emotional moment is after he kills somebody, he tells the Ancient One, it's not Mr. Strange, it's Doctor Strange. I'm a doctor, and I took an oath not to hurt anybody, and I just killed a man. Like, I'm not your soldier. Yada, yada, yada. Really, really interesting stuff, really compelling things. Very well acted all the way around. It's fun. There's a really cool sequence where he astral projects out of his body during a heart surgery kind of thing, and has an astral projection fight in a hospital. Doesn't make a lick of fucking sense, because that fight is resolved by Rachel McAdams shocking Doctor Strange's body, clear, and the spirit form of Doctor Strange projects that energy into the other dude's spirit form, which explodes. I don't understand the rules, but it is a lot of fun. The practicality of shooting on locations is wonderful. Watching these people dressed ridiculously run through the streets of New York with their capes and their boots and everything is really, really cool. The idea of relics being out there that they choose you is set up and paid off wonderfully with the cape. The idea that magic is something that you have to control it, you have to accept the fact that you have no control, so it's a nice little paradox. It's fun. And watching Doctor Strange fucking... that's always good. It's always fun when, what's her name? Scarlet Witch does that too. In an interview for Entertainment Weekly back in the day, Benedict Cumberbatch said, "What an honor it is to be involved in a Marvel flick, to expand the universe. It's really interesting to be on this side of things, to be on the cosmic side, to play this kind of character. I hope the CGI guys don't screw me over." He was a little worried about that, because I think the direct quote was, "I do feel like a bit of a schmuck." Because he's on set just kind of... which is pretty great. I want there to be a fight between Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch in Endgame somewhere, which there's no reason for it. I just want to see it happen, just so I can watch the pre-CG version of these two actor and actress, just fucking doing that kind of shit. What else can I say? Very much want a sequel. Was very much looking forward to seeing him interact with the other Avengers in Infinity War. It's probably the best, like, standalone movie, and it's better than Ant-Man, obviously, and the rest of Phase 3 is sequels. We got a Guardians movie, we get a Spider-Man movie, which isn't necessarily a sequel. We'll get there when we get there. But it's one of the best standalone films of the whole franchise. It's right up there with the first Iron Man in terms of fun watchability. It's better than the first Captain America. It's better than the first Thor and the first Incredible Hulk. Like, as an introductory origin story movie, it's really, really good. I wish the story had a slightly tighter screenplay. I wish the emotionality of the character arc was a little bit stronger. But whatever, at the end of the day, it's fun watching an arrogant dick outsmart a being that's beyond time. It's really, really cool. So, and I want to see more of that kind of stuff. I want to see more of the multiverse. I want to see more of the cosmic side. Hoping we get to see more of that in Endgame. And really hoping we get a Doctor Strange too. I am assuming we will, because there's no such thing as a Marvel movie that doesn't get a sequel these days. So I have to assume, despite nothing being greenlit, we're going to get another Doctor Strange movie. Check this one out if you're going through them all, like I have. Definitely should be on the list, as opposed to, say, Thor 2 kind of a thing, or even Ant-Man, really. This is definitely worth a watch, definitely worth owning or watching on Netflix. Show it to your friends, have a few drinks, and have some fun. Enjoy that wonderful cast. And I will see you next time, I believe, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, one of my absolute favorites, personally. So, thank you, I am George Efta, and I will see you next time on Marvel Rewind. Peace. Hey, there's a mid-credits thing in this movie which shows Thor, and it's awesome. And Thor is like, hey, blah, 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 I'm here looking for my brother. And Doctor Strange is like, I have a thing that I do where I protect the Earth from bad stuff, and I have a list of names, and your brother's on that list because he's a dick. And Thor's like, yeah, good call, Loki's kind of a dick. And he's like, well, we're just looking for my dad. And, Doctor Strange says, oh, so you mean to tell me that if you find your father, you and your brother and him will all leave this planet and go back to Asgard? Uh-huh. Well, then I'll help you. And when that tag happened, Thor Ragnarok was way off. It's like 4 movies from now, I believe. And I was like, holy shit, is Doctor Strange going to be like a main character or a side character in Thor Ragnarok? That'd be interesting. And their chemistry is already really interesting. Watching the two of them interact is really cool. And you get the sense that in the intervening years between Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok, that he's become the Sorcerer Supreme. At the end of the movie, he hasn't really mastered things yet. He's very, very good, but the timeline of that movie, I have no idea how long he's in training for. And by the end of it, when the big action sequences happen, his first big action sequence, he doesn't really have full control of his powers yet. And the end of the movie is only like a day later in his time, so you get the idea that he learned a lot in the meantime. And you really see he became the Sorcerer Supreme off camera. And I like that we didn't have to sit through him doing that. Like, we get the idea. He can read books and study. Fun question. Do you think if Tony Stark had the time and the access to those books, that he could also be a Sorcerer Supreme? I mean, if there's any character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who just can do his homework and then be good at something, it's Tony Stark. Interesting to think about. So yeah, that's the mid-credits roll. And I said mid-credits, so, there's one more. Hey, a tag in a Marvel movie that's just about the sequel. Mordo is going to be the villain, because his arc in Doctor Strange is realizing that what he thought was good and just in the world, the Ancient One, the tribe he's on, the side he's on, will always have consequences. That having magic abilities, drawing energy from other dimensions, is inherently wrong. You're fucking up the natural order of things. And at the end of this movie, he says, what sorcerers are meddlers who change things that shouldn't be changed. And he proceeds to remove the magic ability from a paraplegic we met earlier who uses magic to stand. And the guy goes back to being a paraplegic. And, you know, he says, like, why are you doing this? And Mordo says, because I finally discovered what is wrong with the world. There are too many sorcerers. I fucking can't wait. The idea of Mordo and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange bumping heads as villains is going to be fantastic. Their relationship, their chemistry is the best in the movie for me. Their conversations, his intensity, whether he's being passionate about something he believes in or whether he's being very angry when he finds out the truth. Chiwetel Ejiofor is just such a fucking good actor, and they're great together. So really, really, really want a Doctor Strange 2. Again, they haven't announced anything. As far as we know, Far From Home is the last official Marvel movie that they've announced. Clearly, they're not going to stop there. But they have not announced, there's no, you know, Black Panther 2 coming in. We don't know any of that shit yet. So I have to assume Doctor Strange is on the list. This movie did make money. Scott Derrickson, the writer-director, really good dude, directed one of my favorite horror movies of modern times, Sinister. Brought a really interesting edge to this, brought a really interesting perspective to it in the same way that, you know, Joss Whedon did and Jon Favreau did and the Russos did. So I can't imagine he's fucking... And Doctor Strange is like a big hit in Infinity War. I cannot imagine that they're not going to make a Doctor Strange 2. And I really hope that Mordo being the villain is what they do. Although the world's going to be so different after Endgame. Anyway, I don't know. That's the tag, is Doctor Strange 2's coming and Mordo Chiwetel is going to be the villain. So, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Thank you for watching. Like I said, thanks for sitting through the credits, even though you know the joke is that I'm going to be coming back. And I will see you next time on Friday with Guardians 2. Bye-bye.